Greetings, this is Jed Shlackman. I'm a holistic counselor and spiritual energy healer in Miami, Florida. For this particular video, I'll be speaking about the topic of past lives and reincarnation, in particular reincarnation research. People who have explored some of the details, some of the actual metaphysical mechanisms, you could say, of how these incarnational cycles play out here on the earth plane. And right now it's the year 2020, and we recently had a presidential election here in the United States, and some researchers have looked into identifications of past lives of the presidential candidates. So if you go to the website reincarnationresearch.com with Dr. Walter Semko, he looks into the particular case studies involving those individuals, involving Trump and Biden and emperors back in ancient Rome. So it appears that there's a significant resonance or connection between leaders in ancient Rome and incarnations of leaders in modern day America. There's also a significant general connection, you could say, or resonance between the Roman Empire, ancient Rome, the Republic of Rome, and our modern American Republic, which is seen by many people around the world as functioning or acting as if it's an empire. So I'm going to read and share some material that you can find on the Reincarnation Research website. And we have Walter Semkiw, K-I-W is the way that's spelled, S-E-M-K-I-W, M-D. And he's been researching these different reincarnation cases of VIPs, of well-known public figures, for many years. And part of this is based upon information received by a very well-known psychic medium trance channel. And that channeler channels an ancient Egyptian being or entity that presents details about the past lives of current day personalities that the person who is communicating with that medium is inquiring about. So right now on the tweet feed from Dr. Semkiw, he mentions that Joe Biden has been identified as the reincarnation of Roman Emperor Theodosius I. And Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have also been identified as Roman emperors. And there's an article where Trump is identified as the Emperor Nero. Why all the reincarnated emperors? And he gives a specific link for people to learn more. So here is the case of Theodosius I and Joseph Biden, Christian world leaders in 2 lifetimes. Joe Biden as the reincarnation of Christian Roman Emperor Theodosius I. After Joe Biden won the 2020 election, and of course at this point in time there's still dispute over who won the election, so we'll have to see in the next couple of months what plays out with that. But he's been declared, projected as the winner. And continuing to what is presented in this article, Dr. Semkiw says, I was ready to ask about a past life for him. I did not want to explore Joe Biden's past lives before the election because I did not want to interfere with the election process. I have worked with trance medium Kevin Ryerson since the year 2001 and have found that Kevin channels a spirit guide named Atun Ray, who has demonstrated the ability to make past life matches with a high degree of accuracy. And stepping to the side for a moment, I'll mention that I myself, as a past life regression or spiritual regression therapy practitioner, have encountered a case that corroborated Kevin Ryerson's information about past lives of a well-known celebrity. So I also have reason to give credence to Ryerson's information that he brings forth from that spirit guide, Atun Ray. So now coming back to this article, Dr. Semke says, when I asked Atun Ray who Joe Biden might have been in a past lifetime, he immediately told me that Biden is the reincarnation of Roman Christian Emperor Theodosius I, who of course I had never heard of. And most people probably haven't heard of Theodosius I. Many more have probably heard of Nero, the Roman emperor, who had recently been identified as a past life or another incarnation of the soul that is currently incarnated as Donald Trump. So he goes into some of the details that support and explain this connection with Biden and Theodosius. First, he mentions past life talent. The abilities and passions of Joe Biden are reflected in the life of Theodosius I. The life of Theodosius I is well documented. In reading his biography, two features in common with Joe Biden were obvious. First, Theodosius I was a fierce advocate and promoter of the Catholic Church. Joe Biden has been proud of being a devout Catholic. Secondly, Theodosius I was a warrior emperor. Joe Biden, in his long career as a U.S. Senator, has been a hawk in that he has been ready to use military force if the need arose. And people have often actually complained about that aspect, that Biden has been very militaristic, eager to take military action, such as in the Iraq War. So Dr. Semke continues here, Joe Biden's past life as Theodosius I. Politics seems rough in contemporary times. The life of Theodosius I was much more violent. Though Joe Biden is soft-spoken and conciliatory, well, most of the time perhaps, I've personally seen examples of where he's not so soft-spoken. In his life as Theodosius, he could be brutal. Theodosius I lived around 350 AD, which was a violent era. I think the difference is that we do mature across our incarnations on Earth. To learn of Joe Biden's life as Theodosius I, please go to this following link so you can go on the website there. And now he mentions the past lives of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Past lives of many contemporary politicians have been identified who are also well-known governmental figures in past lives. These include Donald Trump as the reincarnation of Roman Emperor Nero, and Vladimir Putin as the reincarnation of Julius Caesar. Why do famous people reincarnate as famous people? It is natural to ask why the same people rise to major governmental roles across successive lifetimes. As explained in my book Origin of the Soul and the Purpose of Reincarnation, that's Dr. Semke's book, when we were created as souls, we were endowed by God with specific attributes. As such, artists reincarnate as artists, musicians come back as musicians, and politicians reincarnate as politicians and world leaders. As politicians incarnate over many lifetimes, they hone their skills so that in subsequent incarnations they become more successful. Reincarnation: we can be famous in one lifetime and unknown in another. Though we may have the same talents and abilities across lifetimes, we may be famous in some lifetimes but unknown in others. For example, a past life of President Trump has been identified in which he was a French government official in eastern Canada when France was colonizing this part of North America around the era of the American Revolutionary War. This is why Canada is bilingual, in which French is spoken in the eastern province of Quebec, while the rest of Canada speaks English, as England colonized western parts of Canada. In sum, one can have the same talents, interests, and passions from one lifetime to another, but can be famous in one lifetime and relatively unknown in another. Now we come down to evidence and principles of reincarnation and understanding past lives, and he shows photographs of these prominent public personalities. So you can see a photo of Joe Biden next to a statue, an image of Theodosius, and there's another one showing Caesar and Putin, and he has one of Trump and Nero. So there is some facial resemblance, and we often think of our physical appearance as being a result of genetics, but actually our consciousness, our remembrance of a personality from another lifetime, can to some extent imprint or superimpose upon the genetics of the present life, so we can develop our individual facial features and characteristics where they bear some resemblance to a personality that we had as an incarnation in another lifetime. We can have perhaps hundreds, thousands of incarnations, and it is common from my perspective to have your current incarnation exhibit similar talents, similar themes, similar patterns to ones from other lifetimes, where you may go through a whole sequence or chain of lifetimes that have a similar theme, such as the theme of power and political affairs, the theme of being an artist or a musician, the theme of being a housewife or homemaker. So there's many different themes that you might be exploring through many incarnations, and therefore there will be kind of an energetic resonance between the incarnations that have those similar attributes. However, your soul could have other sequences or streams of incarnations that actually have very little relevance or connection to your current one, so you might not become aware of those if you did a past life regression related to issues in your present life. There are many incarnations that you probably would not encounter, since they don't have a resonance or relevance to what you're going through in your present time, in your present life. So we tend to connect with what's relevant when we go into a past life regression session. You're not going to have reviews of thousands of lifetimes where most of them don't really have much pertinence to what your soul is seeking for you to learn or master in your present incarnation. So a person such as Trump or Biden is dealing with issues related to power, to those types of positions, and there is that resonance between what they're pursuing and experiencing in the here and now and what they experienced, what occurred with their incarnation in similar types of leadership roles in other lifetimes. So it makes sense in that context that those souls have incarnations here in America, which is considered to be kind of this superpower, this almost imperial type republic that exists in this time period, and that they were incarnated as emperors, as political leaders in ancient Rome, which was a dominant power on the earth in that time period, in the early part of the Christian era and somewhat before that. So I hope that this example gives each of you some insight into why we play out certain parts or roles in our lifetime, how some of what we're going through in some sense is kind of pre-planned or predestined, you could say. So if your soul has chosen to have that type of role in this lifetime, things may seem to naturally fall into place to bring about that manifestation. So someone like Joe Biden or Donald Trump seeking political office will tend to naturally have success in achieving those things, while a person whose soul has not chosen that type of path may, at the conscious level, think of trying to attain that position, but when they try to pursue that role, the universe, in a sense, isn't cooperating with that intention, and they're not successful in going forward for having that type of position or path. So we're not, in a sense, equivalent in our ability to achieve particular things in a particular lifetime, since our souls have to some extent pre-mapped or pre-planned what we're seeking to experience and explore for our incarnation. So it's helpful to see things from that perspective, to trust your own soul, your own higher self, to realize that it has its plans, its agendas in a sense, and it's trying to guide and nudge you in that direction to help you move forward along the path that it has pre-chosen. So if you're going in harmony or congruence, you could say, with that type of path, then things may seem to flow more fluidly, more naturally. Whereas if you're trying to go against what your soul has planned or intended for your lifetime, you may encounter some significant barriers or obstacles or things interfering to push you in a different direction. So your soul has much wisdom. It has its plan, the things it wishes to manifest in your lifetime, and the particular themes that it desires to explore, different things it's looking to master. The author and regression therapist Brian Weiss once wrote a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, and also one called Messages from the Masters. So you could think of your higher self as seeking mastery through those many incarnations. We don't become a master through just one incarnation. It's the collection and integration of many lifetimes that actually brings the mastery through all those experiences. I appreciate each of you for taking your time to explore this topic, to seek to gain greater understanding of yourself, of your life, of creation and life in general. For those that are interested in regression therapy, interested in spirituality and other aspects of health or healing, holistic wellness, I invite you to visit my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. And you can also find out more about different events that I facilitate, as well as individual or private healing sessions that I offer. For now, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.